So, welcome to this week's episode, and I've got a really special, fantastic, wonderful guest for you guys this week. My friend Shane was kind enough to jump on for probably about 2 hours and just kind of talk about his build a little bit. And this one's special to me because he took a little bit of his time out of his day over a year ago to do a build feature, like a write up on the Lifted Imports website. And so it was great to have him on kind of in person and just to kind of pick his brain, in real time and get updated kind of on what he's got going on with the Crosstrek now. So I think you guys will enjoy it. And before we jump into that, as usual, if you want more Subaru stuff in podcast form, make sure you check out the Subie You podcast. That's the OG right there. Raf's been doing it for a while, and I really appreciate just everything he's done for the community. And I would hope that you guys would go support everything he's got going on. He's got a ton of good episodes, got a full catalog of heavy hitters. I would definitely recommend checking it out. So let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so we got Shane, and can you tell us the name of your account and your vehicle?
Yeah, on Instagram, I'm at PYP Dadwagon, so PYP dot dad dot wagon. Have a 2021 Subaru Crosstrek. Doesn't have a name. We just call it the Dad Wagon. Got it new in 21 and
Okay.
planned on keeping it stock. I went from a lifted Toyota Tacoma to the Crosstrek, having two kids, needed something that was fuel efficient, safe, reliable, all that good stuff. Was not planning on doing any of the things I did with it, and it started to just take form, take shape, and it is what we see on Instagram today.
Heck yeah. The PYP, I know that's a paint code. What's the name of the color?
It is. So it's plasma yellow pearl. Um, Plasma yellow, I don't know where it comes from. Everybody tells me they think it looks green or gold. I personally don't see any yellow in it. You can see it behind me. It's
Yeah,
more of
yeah.
like I don't know, like a pea color, like the color of a vegetable or
Yeah, dude.
something. I don't know.
I think it
It's
looks
different.
great.
Yeah, it's something. It definitely polarizes people. People either love it or they hate it, and that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
People see the car, see the color, and they know it's me. And it's funny because people all over the country, from Texas to Washington to the Carolinas, they see one and they're snapping pictures of it and sending it to me, and you're like, "Hey, there you are." So it's one
Yep,
that stands
there we
out, and
go.
that's honestly that's what kind of gravitated me to it.
Yeah.
It was just something that was so unusual, and I kind of knew what I wanted to do with it to make it not look stock. I mean, I didn't want to do all of this to it, but different, like color accents and things to it to kind of set it apart. But yeah,
Yeah.
she's one of a kind.
Yeah, I think she looks great.
Thank
Do
you.
you I know you're a little bit newer. Yeah, dude, absolutely. I know you're a little bit newer to Subarus, but you may remember back in the day seeing like the old 90s Subarus running around. They had a paint code that was like a champagne sort of,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it was like a really like light brown, but not like a poopy brown or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody hated on it. And dude, I've always thought it's like the coolest color because it's kind of odd, but
Yeah.
I just think it's like classy, and that's how I feel about the plasma that you've got. I think it's gangster.
Yeah, yeah, I
um,
like it just because, like I said, it stands out. I mean, in my area alone, there's maybe one other one that I see driving around, and it's even a different trim than mine. So, like, as soon as you see mine, obviously
okay,
with the hood wrap and everything, people know it's me. But it even just the color by itself just looks different to me. I don't know if it's the black that I
yeah,
have on it, but yeah, I don't know. Every time I see it, I'm like, damn, that's a cool looking color.
yeah. No, I love it, man. What we talked about this a little bit ago, when we first talked, but I know you had a Tacoma.
Hmm.
What in the heck would possess a person to say, you know what, I'm tired of having a capable Toyota with four low. I think I'm going to go get a Subaru.
Yeah, yeah. So I had a Jeep, absolutely loved my Jeep. It was a Jeep Grand Cherokee. We took that thing everywhere. I mean, from the mountains to, into the city of like Harrisburg, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. I mean, that thing went everywhere with us. And I said I would
Yeah.
drive that thing into the ground, and we did. It physically, one day I pulled it into the driveway and like we couldn't get it to roll.
Yeah.
Long story short, I ended up with a Toyota Tacoma. We did some mods to it. It was lifted. We put bigger tires on it, brush guards, step rails, all kinds of things. And we did a little bit
Yeah.
of kind of what we do with the Crosstrek now. I mean, we went kayaking, we went into the mountains, we did some family road trips and stuff, but my wife didn't like it. It sat too high. It wasn't practical. It only had a 4 foot bed on it. So to get two kayaks in it, and at the time we had one kiddo, another kiddo on the way, it just wasn't practical. And it was awful on gas, obviously, with the big tires and the lift on it. So we
Yeah.
wanted to get something that was more family friendly, but still totally capable. Living in the Northeast, living in Pennsylvania, I mean, we see everything from like flooding rains to snow to um,
Hmm.
dirt roads. I mean, we live pretty rural, so I mean, it's not unusual to have um, you know dirt roads to unplowed roads in the winter. So we needed something that was capable, reliable, safe for the family. Subaru just checked all those
Yeah.
boxes, but I still wanted something that we that could haul the kayaks, had good ground clearance for snow or going on trails to the creeks or the rivers or to the lakes, things like that, and um, just Subaru checked all the boxes. Crosstreks were affordable at the time. This was, kind of in the pandemic during COVID, um,
Hmm.
and it it just checked all the boxes. And then, like I said, when I saw this color, I was just searching local dealers online. I saw this color online, and for whatever reason, I was hooked on it. I was like, that's the car,
Yeah.
that's the one.
Yeah.
And my wife hates it. She still busts on me because I bought it sight unseen. I literally went to the dealership and I was like, I want that car. When's it going to be here? And this was during, like I said, COVID with the part shortages and inventory
Yeah.
shortages and everything. And they're like, oh, it'll be here in 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks turned into like 2 months. And I'd put a
Oh yeah.
$500 deposit on it. And she's like, you're buying this car. You've never even test drove it. You don't know what it looks like. You've never bought a Subaru before. So it was like, I was all in. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of fate. Like, look at it now. It's, I definitely wouldn't be where I am today and like in the community and on here with you and done
Hmm.
some of the things I have in the community and met some of the people that I have if it wasn't for this car.
Yeah.
So it was kind of one of those things like you have a gut feeling. It was a gut feeling like this was the car for me, and it turned out it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it sounds like the stuff you're doing with it, you're the uh, absolute, uh, what's the term I need here? Like, just the best case scenario
Hmm.
is what you need it for. Cause I'll hear people talking about like, oh, I want a rock crawler or something. So I'm going to lift my Subaru.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you need the Grand Cherokee with,
Yeah.
488s and 37s and a trussed front axle.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so everything you're telling me is literally the exact, case study of what I would tell somebody to purchase if they're doing what you're doing. And do you feel like it's um, pretty much done just about everything you've asked it to do at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's exceeded my expectations. I remember the first year I had it, we had a pretty decent snowstorm here. It was maybe like 8 inches or so, and the car was pretty much stock. I didn't have the wheels and tires on it, wasn't lifted, anything
Hmm.
like that. And I just was like, let's see what this thing can do. And I took it up behind my house here is high school, and so we have an open parking lot. So the one evening I went up, after hours and just messed around with it in the snow, and I could barely get it to slide around, like to do donuts. I turned off tractor control, all the sensors, all the bells and whistles that Subarus come with today, and I could not
Yeah.
get it to slide. So I was kind of impressed from that standpoint, and then taking it in some, I don't want to call them sketchy areas, but some areas that I probably wouldn't take a typical car to get to creek
Yeah.
access or water access, things like that. I mean, it handled amazing. I mean, from the ground clearance, at that point we had the wheels and tires on it and stuff, and it's performed really, really well. And
Mm-hmm.
just the more stuff that we've done to it, um, I think it was last year, we put a lift on it, just a 1 inch lift. So it gave me a little bit extra ground clearance, and we put that to the test this past weekend. Like you and I, we talked a little bit before jumping on here. Me and four other guys went wheeling over the weekend, and I mean, talk about rock crawling. We did some water crossings. We did some pretty gnarly, really rocky trails, and I think everybody was lifted. One guy had like 3 inches.
Okay.
Another guy had 1 inch lift. I don't have skids, and another guy had
Oh
a
no.
2 inch lift on, and it was sketchy. But I'll tell you what, like it it didn't bother me really at all because it performs so well on rocky terrain, through mud, through water. It does awesome just in the woods on gravel. Just everything that Subaru does to build these cars with the symmetrical all-wheel drive and the ground clearance. I mean, you have very little worries because they're so capable.
Oh yeah. I mean, straight from the factory, you've got
Yep.
like I don't know what it is now, but I know on the premium trim it was like 8.7.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yep.
that was better than a lot of the a wide array of all the different Jeeps that were available at the time
Yep.
when I was working for Subaru.
Yep.
And I was like, dang, that's that's pretty impressive. Um,
Yeah. Yep.
I meant to ask you this: what year Grand Cherokee did you have? Was it like a WJ or a
It
ZJ? Do you
it was a
remember?
WJ, I believe. It was
Okay.
if I remember right, it was a 99. Um, it was
Oh,
red.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, I had that from like when I was in high school through college. So, I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't have
Wow.
money for mods. I put different tires on it, different headlights,
Mm-hmm.
and some like aesthetics, different things to make it look cooler. But,
Yeah.
I, back then I didn't know any better. So we just, we would take it to the mountains and just send it through puddles and on trails and stuff. And,
Yeah.
we didn't know what we were doing back then. But, I, I don't know,
Yeah.
that was the vehicle that made me fall in love with like going off-roading and just
Yeah.
spending time in nature and just running trails and going to overlooks and stuff like that. And the Tacoma was kind of the next variation of that. Like, okay, let's build something that can take us deeper into the woods and do some cooler things. And I never got to see that build through. So yeah, so the Crosstrek is, I don't know, it's meaningful to me or sentimental to me because I didn't get to see like the Jeep um, through the whole build process, and I didn't get to see the Tacoma through the whole build process. So having a new car and
Yeah.
having this vision and lifestyle that I want to share with my family, and I have adult money now, like I can go all in on building this car how I want to and how it best um, fits our lifestyle.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think too the other thing that's great, you bought it kind of as like a family adventure car,
Yeah.
and do the gas mileage and the comfort when you're off the
Mm-hmm.
pavement in a Crosstrek versus a twin solid axle WJ is
Yeah.
just there's no comparison. It's so much more
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah, it is a little bit tighter. I guess had I known that we were going to have like a growing family, I probably would have gone, in hindsight, I probably would have gone to
Yeah.
maybe like the outback of the Forester. But I'll tell you
Hmm.
what, like being on some of the trails here in Pennsylvania, like the Crosstrek fits so well because it's not real wide. It's narrow, or it's not narrow.
Hmm.
It's short. So to do a 3 point turn or something on a really narrow trail, or if you're trying to wiggle your way down into like creek access or lake access, it does phenomenal. Like you
Yeah.
have full visibility around the whole car. It's really nimble, even lifted and having bigger tires on it. It's still nimble and very maneuverable. Where if you're in a wagon like the Outback or more of a traditional SUV like the Forester, I don't think you have as much maneuverability with it. But just
Yeah.
some of the inside space gets a little bit tight. But we've come up with different solutions for that, like the roof rack. People ask me like, why don't I have a spare tire? Or gas cans up there. It's for strollers. It's for diaper bags. It's a dad wagon
Yeah.
for a reason.
Yeah.
So we found different solutions, different like storage solutions, storage components, and we just get creative with hanging stuff on off the roof or off the back, or I'm even looking at different like ceiling organizers to mount between the bars and stuff. So
Mhm.
um, there's ways all around that. So it's good.
I remember when I first talked to you, it was still a relatively new build for
Hmm.
you.
Hmm.
Um, and I know at that point you didn't even have a lift on it, man. You're
No.
still out there just raw dogging the thing.
I was, yep. I had the idea, but I was like, I don't
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have a couple questions. I wanted to
Yeah,
ask, I know your like mod and accessory list is pretty long,
yeah.
but I wanted to ask, just like general, just your general mod list, and then I also wanted to ask kind of what was sort of the tipping point for you being like, okay, time for a lift kit.
Yeah, so some of the mods that we did, wheels and tires were the first ones that we did.
Hmm.
Just because it just changes the whole look of the car. Like
Yeah.
I don't care what vehicle it is, if you have stock wheels and tires on it, it just doesn't look. It just, I don't know. It just looks straight from factory, right?
It's
So wheels and
regular
tires were
fat. Yeah, it's
yes.
regular traffic at that
Yeah,
point.
it really is. It really is. So that was the first thing. That was the first thing we did, and I guess that was kind of the tipping point. Was like, okay, that looks awesome. What should we do next to make it look even cooler? So I
Yeah.
had this vision of doing like a hood wrap. I saw somebody else do it, and I forget who exactly it was. And I was like, that looks cool, but I want to do more. So we wrapped the hood, we wrapped some of the roof, and on the hatch behind me. I don't know if you can see
Yeah.
that. We
Oh,
did
I can
like
see
some of the
a
tailgate.
license plate.
Yep,
Yeah.
we did like the bumper area.
Mhm.
Um, so we did that. That was pretty early on. Um, Oddly enough, or cool enough, I got some stuff for free from people. So
Okay.
I got like the third brake light I got from CVU
CUV Pros? Is
CUV
that?
Pros. Yep,
Yeah.
they were
Yeah. Okay. I
Boxer
remember that.
Overland. Yeah, they were Boxer
Yeah.
Overland when I jumped on board with them. So different scenarios like that. I've partnered with different people or different companies or did favors for them, like design work or whatever it may be, and they paid me in parts or whatever the case may be. So I was very, very fortunate in that aspect to get some things for free. But it was just kind of out of necessity. Like, okay, well, I really need a roof rack for the stroller. I really need, I guess I don't need a ladder, but I really need a ladder because we can hang things off of it, or it works as a tie down point for the kayaks, different things like that. So then we added the rally bar and the lights, just because the Northeast is just crazy between fog, rain, snow,
Everything.
deer. I mean, everybody asks me
Yeah.
what I use my ditch lights for, and I'm like, honestly, it's for deer. When
Yep.
I'm driving, like in these remote areas, these back countries of Pennsylvania, I have them angled to the point where I can see the banks or in the cornfields or in the woods, and it's amazing. You see the little eyeball shining, so you know to slow down. So
Yeah.
different things like that, different oddball scenarios. But the tipping point for the lift kit was, I don't think there really was a thing. It was more so aesthetics. I have a friend that has a Crosstrek. He has a 2-inch lift. We were parked side by side at a show, and I was like, okay, I
It's
I
time to
just don't.
go.
I just don't like the look of this. So,
Yeah. No, that's totally
um,
fair. Yeah.
yeah, so we put it on. I mean, the one thing I did really like about it was a lot of people with Crosstreks have the lift, and they said it improved the ride quality. And not that the ride quality is bad in the Crosstrek, but I mean, coming from a Jeep and then a Toyota Tacoma to the Crosstrek was just, it felt different to me.
It's low, man. It feels
It's
weird.
low, yeah. So I got a little bit stiffer springs, 1-inch lift springs, and it handles a lot better. Plus the ground clearance. I mean, I'm not gonna scoff at 1 inches of ground clearance when it comes to snow or going off road. Um, so there was no one tipping point. It was kind of all these little things, and it was in the back of my mind. And like I said, parking next to somebody that had a 2-inch lift, I liked them from afar. You see them on Instagram and you're like, oh man, that looks so good. But then when you see one up close and you see, the spacing of the tires and how lifted it is, the easeability of getting in and out, just different things. I was like, okay, I do have a need for it. Plus, it looks cool, so I'm just going to pull the trigger and do it. And I've had it on now for probably going on a year, maybe not quite a year, like 8, 9 months, and I love it. And like I said, it came in handy over the weekend. One true like wheeling trip. This wasn't just a little ride through the mountains. The ground clearance was phenomenal. The ride was phenomenal. So definitely
Yeah.
recommend it.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah. I just thought I'd ask. I was, hoping there wasn't going to be any crazy story behind, some crazy situation you were in, but I figured, hey, it
No.
might make for a good story if there was.
Yeah,
And
no, no. Just it was a long, like, it was one of those scenarios like, man, I really, really want one, but do I really need it? And I was like, no, no, no. And I don't know. It came to the point where it was like, all right, I'm putting this off for really no good reason. I want it. I'm just gonna do it.
yeah. Oh man, I grew up really, really poor, like below the
Mm-hmm.
poverty line.
Mm-hmm.
And, now, I work in the medical industry and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm not broke by any means. I'm not rich, but I have more money than I need. And I still
Yeah.
have to tell myself, you've wanted this stupid thing for like 5 years. Why have you not just gone and bought it? You could
Yep.
buy 10 of them right now.
Yep.
So I totally understand that being in that situation, it's pretty
Yeah.
easy to talk yourself out of buying certain things. But yeah,
Exactly.
man, I love modding cars, and just kind of making them look how you want. But
It's addicting,
what?
I think. It's like
Oh, it's
you
like
start
tattoos.
doing it. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is. And
I don't have a
I
single
said it for the
tattoo, but
yeah. I said it for the longest time. Like when I first bought the car, right? I was like, I'm gonna keep it stock. Like I don't need to do any of these things. And then you do one thing and it leads to the next and to the next. And the car has been pretty much the same for probably the better part of the year, though. I mean, the last thing I did to it was the lift. And I said I was done. After the lift, I'm done. And I'm
famous last words.
yeah, and like after this weekend, I am itching to do more things to it. And it's just being around other people with Crosstreks, and you start looking at their car, you start looking at their rig, and asking questions and getting feedback, and people are bragging on things that they've done, and it's like, okay, I can see that. I can see the value in that.
Yeah, yeah. So over the weekend, I know you said you kind of got out there and really got after it.
Yeah,
So it sounds like you might have been around some people with some, pretty substantially modded cars.
yeah,
What was the one thing that stood out to you? Was it skid plates or something like that you're thinking you might do
yeah,
next? Or
yeah. Definitely skid plates. It was another one, kind of like the lift. Like I don't need it. 90% of the time I'm by myself, and I mean either by myself, like I'm actually solo, I'm the only person in the car, or it's me and the wife, or me and the wife and the kids. And when we're solo, we're not doing anything crazy. We're not going on rocky trails. We're not doing water crossings. We're not doing any
yeah,
of that stuff. We're going to the lake, or we're going to have a picnic in the mountains, something like that. So I never really saw the value in having skids. I mean, I get why people have them because they are doing those crazy things. They're sending it through puddles or, whatever the case may be. That wasn't the case for me until this past weekend. And I was one of two that didn't have skids. The other guy, he had a 2-inch lift where I'm on a 1-inch lift. So he had a little bit more clearance, but I was still super duper hesitant to do some of these things because I'm like, one slip up and I'm done. Like I am
oh
toast.
yeah,
And we were
yeah,
in a really remote part of Pennsylvania, no cell service, no recovery truck or anything is coming to get us in this part of the woods. So
yeah,
the one guy we were with, he has a 1-inch lift just like I do, but he has skids. So he took point and led us through the trail, and he was like, "Listen, if I bottom out, like I'll stop you and spot you to make sure you don't do what I did."
yeah,
And we made it, and it was a blast. It was a ton of fun, but skids definitely would have taken the edge off. You kind of have that pucker factor as you're going through water that you can't see through. As you're going over some of this. trail was really, really rocky. So you're waiting for that clunk, and
Oh, dude,
luckily, thankfully, nothing like that
it
happened.
never
But
came.
it never came, thank
Yeah.
God. But yeah, it would have just been peace of mind. So I think
Yeah.
if there is a next big purchase, it's probably going to be skids for just for scenarios like that. I mean, I guess it's good to always have them. I mean, you never know what you're going to hit on the road to begin with, but definitely when you're wheeling like that, you want some protection underneath.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just talking to Sierra a couple days, SLT Trek,
Hmm.
and that's what I was telling her. I was like, I didn't necessarily need skids when I bought them, but it absolutely changed my driving style. Like overnight, it
Yeah,
was like, wait, it doesn't matter if I bought them out on this, because you can run through ruts that somebody on 37s digs out and not
yeah,
worry
yep,
about, clapping out the transmission pan or the oil pan.
yeah. Yeah,
But
and that's how
dude,
I
I
was. I mean, there
know.
was some sections that they weren't rocky and they weren't watery, but they were really rutted out. And I'm like,
Hmm.
man, even if I go a little too fast on this and I catch something the wrong way, like everything underneath is toast. And it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, luckily we've had so much rain that the ground was soft, so
Yeah.
you kind of just squish your way through. But man, you never know what's lying like an inch
Oh,
underneath
dude.
the
The
surface there,
soil.
and
Yeah,
yeah,
dude.
you hit something the wrong way and you're toast. And I've seen stories on Instagram where people are just driving down the highway and they run over a hammer or a ladder or
Yeah.
something crazy, and
Oh,
they have
yeah.
skids on, and the skids are folded up like a taco, but
Yeah.
the car's fine. So,
Oh,
I think of those
absolutely.
scenarios too, where like we have all these weird creatures in Pennsylvania. We got deer, skunk, raccoons. I mean, you hit something the wrong way. I mean, I almost hit a turkey the one day. Like, I mean, that's going to f up your bumper, but you
Oh,
got some
yeah, dude.
carcass laying in the middle of the road, and you try to straddle it, and it
Yeah.
you hit it underneath. I mean, you're
Yeah.
toast.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I don't know if I know we've talked a little bit. I'm from the Pacific Northwest, kind of where every other Subaru F boy lives.
Yeah, right.
Uh, but no, I get it, man. They're the same type of thing. A lot of the same, kind of wildlife. Apparently, we have Sasquatch out here as well, but I haven't seen one.
Nice, nice. I haven't seen them around these parts either.
Yeah, I've heard stories, but I don't know who to believe. But I live in the desert now. Like I live in the eastern part of Oregon. I just had to get out of there, dude. There's
Nice.
too much crime, too much, just
Yeah,
silliness over there. But
yeah.
what I wanted to ask you about the springs and what did you end up going with?
So I went with the Rally Tech 1 inch
Hmm.
springs. Um, Nothing crazy. I was gonna go. I think they have a 1.5 inch option,
For the rear
and yeah,
or in
yeah.
both?
For both, for
Okay,
one and a
okay.
half inch for both. Yeah, I just went with 1 inch all the way around. I didn't want to go too crazy because I don't have aftermarket struts or anything like that. And I know the more the more lift you do, you start to stress out other components, and I didn't want to do
Absolutely,
all of that. And again, like I was like, why go to 1.5 or 2 inches when I don't even really need the lift.
yeah. Hmm.
So I just went with that. And Rally Tech, I trust Rally Tech. Um, just good name brand. A bunch of other people recommended them or are running them. So
Yeah,
that was kind of an easy decision. I had my mind made up between like two or three companies, and
yeah,
Rally Tech just seemed like the most suitable for my situation.
yeah. How did you was the install process pretty straightforward? Did you do that yourself or did you have some help?
I didn't do it myself. I planned on it. Me and some buddies were gonna do like a garage day and do it.
Yeah.
Um, Somebody that's really good with Subarus, he was gonna do it for me. He's like, "Oh yeah, I could do that," but none of us really had the right set of tools to get the job
Hmm.
done. Um, I've never done it before, so I was kind of let him take the lead, and he was saying how getting the springs on and off and things like that can be pretty dangerous if you don't have the right tools. And we were going to go kind of the cheaper route and get some like Harbor Freight stuff. And we're like, listen, one screw up and somebody's going to lose a head. So
Yeah.
I just took it to a shop. I actually work at a dealership. So I took it into work one day, dropped it off in the morning and was like, guys, go do this. And by the end of the day, by like 4 o'clock, they were done. The alignment was done. Like she was ready to roll. So
Oh, that's
for a couple
awesome.
$100,
Yeah,
it was done, and I had the peace of mind that like, all right, nobody's gonna get injured. It's done correctly. It's
yeah.
aligned. Like so, that's how we got it done.
Okay, right on. Yeah, yeah, working with springs can be a little bit nerve-wracking. I know they're not too bad on Subarus, but still,
Yeah,
if you're not pretty confident in your tool setup and
yeah.
your ability to pull it out, it's like, yeah, why would I not pay somebody else to do that?
Yeah, yeah, I've seen some pretty janky things like, guys using zip ties and duct
Zip
tape and like
ties.
different yes, like zip tie, like hundreds of zip ties and stuff. I'm like, dude, this is an accident waiting to happen. And my buddy was like, well, we could probably get like a $50 spring compressor at like Harbor Freight or something. I'm like,
Mhm.
bro, it's not worth it because that's $50 that when it breaks, like somebody's going to the emergency room.
Yeah, yeah. What's the well, I guess when you were buying springs, I know for a lot of
Hmm.
people, buying springs is really intimidating. So,
Hmm.
yeah, most people have no idea what a spring rate is. Nobody,
Hmm.
unless you're doing this stuff, most people never even have had to purchase a set of springs. Did you get any product support from Rally Tech before you did it, or do you already have knowledge from that? Like, I don't know if you've ever been into tuner cars or anything, but what was that whole process like for you?
Yeah, I leaned on the community quite heavily. Like I would ask around. Like I said,
Mhm.
lifting was on the back of my mind for a while. So I was kind of taking mental notes of different people, whether they had Iron Man or Rally Tech or, like pucks,
Mhm.
just different things. And like, just thinking to myself, like, what would make the most sense for me if I were to do this? And I just kept coming back to springs, to springs, to springs. Like I didn't want to do pucks. I didn't think I needed the whole kit. Like I didn't want to go
Subframe and
Iron
stuff.
Man. Yeah. I was just like that just seems like overkill for what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I just asked around to a lot of guys and found a bunch of people that had just springs.
Mhm.
And I talked to one of my friends, somebody I contacted and connected with early on was Patrick at Orbis Overlanding.
Oh,
And
yeah. I know of
yeah,
him.
he's been a good dude. He's been a great sounding board, somebody that um, we've collaborated on some different projects and stuff together, and he's been very
Mhm.
helpful, a wealth of knowledge. He's actually a Rally Tech, I guess, dealer. You want to
Oh,
call
cool.
him that.
Yeah.
So I kind of picked his brain, told him what I wanted out of doing a lift, and he recommended springs. And I was like, all right, like, you know, this is checking all the boxes. This is obviously the way to go. So I just talked to him, and I placed the order through him. They came in, we got it installed, but um, I didn't do a whole lot of, I guess, research about spring compression rates and all that stuff. I kind of knew just what I wanted from a look standpoint, improved handling of the vehicle, things
Mhm.
like that. So like I said, it kind of checked all my boxes, and it came with a high, recommendation and others in the community running them. So I was like, you
Yeah.
know what? I think this is the way to go.
Yeah. I'm always running into people who, there's so much talk about like, oh, the only right way to lift a car is with a suspension lift and all that type of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And honestly, man, sometimes a suspension lift is right for people, but more often than not, either a straight up spacer kit or what you did, just running springs, man, that's
Mm-hmm.
really all you need.
Yeah,
And instead of spending, $3,500 on some crazy, stage rally, well, actually,
exactly.
you could do stage rally on a $3,500 setup, but what I mean is like, people just overthink it, man. And
Mm-hmm.
it's funny. This last weekend we were at Overland Expo Northwest, and I'll just say a company that uses green springs
Mm-hmm.
in their design. They're When that stuff first came out, I remember thinking like, "Well, this is really cool that that this is coming to the market, but I remember telling people, just know that when you buy something like this, we don't know where they're made yet. We don't know what the quality control is going to be like. And the
Yeah.
CEO of the company actually came over and talked with everybody that was at like there was a whole bunch of us with the Subaru uh, camp or whatever. And he came over and just said, like, hey, we know that there's a few problems. We're trying to work it out, but we can't
Hmm.
manufacture this stuff physically ourselves in our own factories. Like we have to
Hmm.
outsource it. And if you don't have your hands in it daily, you don't always know, what you're going to get. So I think I think they're probably going to make improvements and figure out certain things. But sounds like you did the right the right thing by not going the route that everybody else is always tempted to go. Just
Yeah,
doing what fits your needs is definitely
exactly.
what's up. And then you daily drive the car, right?
Yes. Yep. It is my daily. So we only have in the house, we only have two vehicles. We have my wife's car and the Crosstrek. So that was another thing too. It's like, okay, I still need to maintain like reliability
Yeah.
in the vehicle. Um, and even when we're out and about, like I said about our solo trips and stuff, it's like, okay, well, I can't get this thing stuck. I can't get stranded because
Yeah, you got to go
I need a
work.
car the next day.
We both
So
need to go to work.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's one of our dailies. Yeah, but it's my
Okay.
daily. I drive it 6, 7 days a week.
Okay. Yeah, and I think, you know, the only downside of doing overload springs, if you're not heavily overloaded, is it is a little more bumpy off, when
Yeah.
you leave the pavement. But if your main use for the car is pavement driving, the thing's going to handle almost like it was straight off the
Mm-hmm.
factory, even if you're lifted and with,
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of stuff on the car. Is that kind
Yeah.
of how it felt when you first got it done?
Yeah. Yeah. I thought the ride quality was a lot better, especially like in turning and maneuvering the vehicle. Like it. The only way I can just try to describe it is like when I drove it off the lot, I noticed it felt like when you turn the car, it like dug into the corners, like it leaned.
Yes. Yes.
And now it doesn't lean. It stays pretty sturdy in cornering and maneuverability and stuff like that. So it's definitely handled a lot better on the road, but it also handles a lot better, I think, on the trails too. Like it just handles bumps a little bit better.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah,
Huh, good to
yeah.
know. Tell the neighbor's dog I said hi.
Oh yeah, they're
They're out
going
there
for
having a
a
little
walk. It's
turf
like
war.
yeah, it's like their little nightly walk.
I love it, man.
Yeah, it's all good.
That's funny. Yeah, I think the spring setup is definitely it's a solution that a lot more people need to take into account. It's
Hmm.
for so many people for strictly off road. And if the car's
Hmm.
not loaded down, yeah, maybe you don't need springs. Maybe a spacer lift's fine. But I find so many of us are just we're running these as our daily drivers. I don't, because
Yeah,
I'm a dirtbag and I've owned
yeah,
way too many cars.
yeah,
But, I'd say probably 75% of people that I meet in the Subaru community, that's what they're running is their daily, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
They're out on trails just getting it.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, and I mean that's what we do. Like I said, other than the past weekend, which was some pretty gnarly stuff. Like, we're not really loaded down. I mean, we may have like two kayaks in the car, or the kids in the back with a trunk full of stuff. But like, we're not really loaded down. We're not carrying a whole lot of like gear and stuff. So I mean the ride quality and everything, and having that little bit of extra clearance has been great. It was like the perfect compromise.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that, man. That's good to hear because I feel like so many people they'll just buy something off the
Hmm.
cuff and they just spend so much money and run into they just learn expensive lessons. So it's
Exactly. And that's what I didn't want to do. I was like, could I get like a $2,000 lift? Yeah. What am I going to use it for really what it's worth?
yeah,
And the answer was
exactly.
no. I was like, I don't, for what we do and maybe it'll change. Maybe a year or two down the road, I'll need a bigger lift and a full, full suspension upgrade. But for right now, what I do and what we do as a family, like this is plenty.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it sounds like it's perfect. And
Yeah.
then I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about, oh, also, you just let me know if you got a jet or if you need to
No,
get a
I'm
drink or
good.
coffee, whatever. Just let
Nope,
me
I'm
know.
good. I'm
Um,
good.
okay, right on, right on. Just want to make sure that was clear.
Yeah.
um, I wanted to ask a little bit about wheels and tires because that's one of the biggest things you'll see
Mm-hmm.
people ask about. They'll be like, "Oh, will this fit on my car? What tires should
Mm-hmm.
I get? Are these, and again, it's another thing where there's a lot of bad information out there. But are you
Yeah.
still running the AT3s?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, cool. Are they getting close to the end of their tread life at this point?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I probably have another year or two in them, I would think.
Okay.
Um, they are surprisingly holding up pretty well. I wasn't sure about them. I know they were popular in the community.
Yeah.
On the Tacoma, I had BFGs, and I loved them, but they were so loud. Like
Yeah, I
they
get
hummed on the road something awful. So I was even hesitant to get these because of the aggressive tread pattern on them, but they're nice and quiet. They handle really, really well. I haven't had a single issue with them. I know I've seen a few instances on Instagram of different people that get them, and they just wear incredibly quick,
yeah.
or they have road noise or whatever. But mine have been solid. I didn't. I went down to a 15-inch rim with a little bit bigger tire, bigger sidewall. So they're 215/75s. I just think they fit the car really well. You got a little bit of increase height with them. They look nice and beefy. They fit in the tire well, really well. Um, and I couldn't be happier with them.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think the overall diameter is real close to stock,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
but you get so much more sidewall doing what you did,
Yep.
going down to the 15 because you probably dropped two wheel sizes.
Yeah.
Make them
Yeah.
a
It was
17s, I think.
17s. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, that's 1 inches on both sides of the sidewall essentially that you're gonna gain,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that just allows you to just dump the air pressure and not worry about it, and
Mm-hmm.
way more comfortable on the trails,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And that was one of the main things I noticed like right away when I first put them on. The car feels a little bit heavier.
Mhm.
Steering's a little bit tighter, but I mean, when you drive it, you get used to all those things.
Yeah.
I remember, I think it was the first winter I had them. I actually went back to my stocks because I was like, well, I don't want to run my nice method wheels in the slush and the salt and
Yeah,
snow
yeah,
of
I get it.
Pennsylvania. And I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? This is dumb. I got, these beefy, aggressive tires and I'm taking them off in the winter. Like, this doesn't make any sense. So I remember when I put the stocks back on, I was like, oh my gosh, this car handles amazing because it was so much lighter and like,
Yeah,
the steering was nice and loose.
yeah.
But you feel it like when you feel it when getting in
Oh,
and out of
yeah.
the car and your visibility, you're like, boy, I'm really sitting down further because, like
Yeah,
you said, it's like an inch or two difference.
yeah. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but
It
it really
doesn't.
is. It
It
really
it
it
is.
really can make a
It really
difference.
is. Especially I think visibility wise. Like when I went from driving an SUV to a truck to the Crosstrek, I remember thinking like I am on the ground, like my
Yeah.
ass is dragging,
Yup.
and then you put the wheels and tires on, and you're like, okay, like I can see a little bit better. I feel like I have a better visibility, and then you add the lift on it, and you're like, okay, now I'm really sitting up. I feel like I'm driving a true SUV. I can't imagine what some of the guys like 2 or 3 inches feel, but
Yeah.
it feels good because you have the clearance, you have the visibility. The car handles better, I think, with the springs, the tires make it feel a little bit better. So it's just to me, it's like the perfect setup.
Oh, I agree. And I'm running 2 35/75s
Mm-hmm.
on,
Mm-hmm.
my Forester,
Yeah.
and like I said, it's not my daily, but
Yeah.
that's the absolute limit of what I would ever tell anybody to run
Yeah.
on something that came with a tire similar to the size that ours did.
Yep.
because
Yep.
man, 215.75, dude, I think you picked like the
Hmm.
absolute chef's kiss right there with
Yeah, I know. I
those
kind of
tires.
thank you because I kind
Yeah.
of regret it. Sometimes I'm like, should I have gone up one more? Or I
No,
see some of the
man, you
guys running like 235 and I'm like, man, that looks so good. But they also have the cuts and
yeah,
the Viper cuts and
yeah,
cutting, trimming plastic and stuff. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do all that just to have a beefier tire. I truly love, like, when I'm walking to my car, I see it in pictures. I'm like,
yes.
I love how it looks. It looks aggressive. It looks beefy. It has a nice little stance to it. So, um,
And and I'll vouch for that. Dude, I think it's such a good looking car. And
oh, thank you.
it oh, absolutely. When you see it parked next to somebody with, that's gone balls to the wall and trying to fit
Hmm.
31s on the car, yeah, it makes it look small. Even my Jeep, I own a old XJ and it's on
Yeah.
35s, but when I go out
Yeah.
snow wheeling with the dudes on 42s, the 35s look like Matchbox cars or
Yeah.
something.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
dude, from a completely like, non-biased person here, I think it fits the car perfectly, man. I think it looks
Awesome.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, dude. And you still got the drivability, man. I think that's the hard
Hmm.
part is finding things that are going to do what you need them to do, but also not make it to where driving to work every day is like, oh, dude.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Did you, just because I know people ask this all the time, and I know the answer to it, but what kind of issues did you run into fitting a 215/75 15 on that car?
So I didn't run into any. I was worried about, and even when I took it into work,
Mhm.
the techs were like, "Okay, you're putting like an SUV or a truck tire on
Yeah,
a car." They even questioned me and were like, "Dude, this isn't going to fit. It's not going to work." And I guess they ran into some trouble getting the tire on the wheel on the rim.
yeah,
But other than that, I didn't have any issues. Like I said, when I first drove the car, it felt heavier.
mhm,
The steering was a little bit tighter, to be expected.
yeah.
But I didn't have any issues. I'm running mud flaps on it, and I know some people are like, "Oh, you'll catch the mud flaps and stuff."
Nah,
And even at full turn, even when it's locked, I don't have any rubbing. Going over bumps, I don't have. It doesn't rub. It doesn't catch. It doesn't do anything. So
yeah,
I haven't had any issues whatsoever, other than the text being like, this isn't going to work. And I was like, listen, I've done my research. I've asked other people. They're running
yeah,
the same exact setup I am, and that was even before the lift. So the lift came
yeah.
after the wheels and tires, and I haven't had any issues whatsoever.
Perfect. Yeah. So for the record, everybody, you can absolutely fit 215/75 on a second gen Crosstrek.
Yep.
No worries.
Yep.
Now, if you have a sport trim, it might be different because of different brake size, but I don't know for sure. But
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. I'm not sure either. I have a premium,
mhm.
but I'm pretty sure I've seen sports. I mean, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure I've seen sports with similar setups.
I think I have two. You never know if people have had to get a little aggressive
Mm-hmm.
with the brake calipers, get the grinder
Mm-hmm.
out or something.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
And you're running the MR 502s,
Yes.
and
Yep.
I think it's the 15/7
Yes.
plus 15 offset. I think is what those are.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and that didn't cause any problems for you trying to run that wheel.
No, no, not at all. And I'm pretty sure on Method's website and a few other websites, they even have like a trim checker or a
Hmm.
vehicle checker, and it checked out. And I knew a couple other people before I even bought mine that were running the same wheel on the same year and trim as mine. So
Cool.
I was pretty confident in that, and I haven't had any issues. With those as well. I mean,
Perfect.
everything luckily with that went really really smooth. It was just you know taking them in, getting them mounted and put on.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we spelled it out 100% for
Yes.
people.
Yep.
That
Yep.
wheel I think was actually designed specifically for Subaru rally cars. So the
I.
hub bore is
Yep.
literally Subaru spec, comes in both the bolt patterns. I love that wheel. I own a set. They're light. They're
Mm-hmm.
lighter than your stock wheels, so you
Yeah. Yep.
save a few pounds there. But yeah, good
Yeah.
call. Everybody hates on people who run them because they're like, oh, everybody's got them, and it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but we all breathe the same air too because it's good, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. And it was hard, like going back to our conversation about the car and the color. I was like, this is, I'm a big fan of bronze wheels, especially on a Subaru. I'm
Oh,
like,
same.
it's just like, it's iconic. Like if you have a Subaru,
Same.
it's got to have like bronze wheels. And I was like,
'05
okay, I
STI,
can't,
bro.
yeah,
That
yeah. I'm like,
oh,
well, I can't put bronze on a like gold colored car.
mhm.
Like it'll look like I tried to match them and they don't match,
Yeah.
or, it's just going to clash. Right. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
well, you can't do white. Silver is going to look weird, like silver and gold. I don't know. So I just ended up going with black, and just because that my plan was to do black accents all over the plasma yellow paint
Perfect.
anyway. So they match, and people hate on the black wheel or hate on the methods, and I'm like, you know what? It's still, to me, like looking at like Subaru history, like methods, like you said, are kind of like iconic. They were made for the car, and I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. Like if you had this color car, what color wheel would you go with? Like,
Exactly.
I don't know, but it just, to me, it looks good. They fit. I didn't have any problems with them, and it gives me some options too. If I want to play with the tire size or whatever,
Mhm.
you can do that. So um, it's all been good. Everything fits. Everything works. No issues whatsoever.
Heck yeah. No spacers either, right?
No spacers. Nope. Nope.
Perfect. Yeah, the other nice thing I love about that spec of that, the 7-inch width is perfect because yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
harder for the techs to install the tire a
Yeah.
little bit, but dude, way less likely to, you know, let a bead loose when you're out on the trail
Mm-hmm.
at low PSI. I'll see people out there, looking for the widest wheel they can fit, and it's like, good luck, man. You're gonna
Yep.
lose it on the trail. I
Yep.
learned I
Yep.
learned that the hard way. Ask me how I know.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
I- you mentioned something earlier that I just wanted to ask. This is completely unrelated to your car specifically, but
Mm-hmm.
you were mentioning the rust and stuff out there, which we
Mm-hmm.
get a little bit of salt on the road here. Do you do any kind of like fluid film or anything?
In Pennsylvania, they do the fluid film. It's getting more and more popular. You do see some shops doing
Hmm.
it. Not a whole lot of people opt into doing it. It's messy. If it's not applied correctly, you still run into issues of exposed material,
Hmm.
um, and it needs to be reapplied every couple of years because it does eventually wear off or deteriorate over
Hmm.
time. Um, and when I bought the car, I looked into doing it because this was my first new car, and I wanted to keep it nice and protected and pristine as long as I could. Um, but it just didn't seem feasible, especially with it being my daily. I was worried
Hmm.
about it. One, making a mess. Two, just having that investment every couple of years. And I talked to some other people that have Subarus for 10, 15, 20 years, and they've luckily, knock on wood, never had an issue with rusting.
Okay.
And crawling under the car and looking at the car, Subaru does a really good job of kind of protecting everything. There's not a whole lot of exposed stuff underneath the car that can rust. I mean, it's metal and salt and water, so it's
Yeah.
eventually going to happen. But
Yeah.
Subaru does a really good job of buttoning up everything and keeping
Okay.
everything as protected as it can with splash guards and plastic and shields and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it wasn't something that I felt I needed to do just based on other people's feedback, but it is an option. People do have it. There is some like DIY kits that you could do it at home,
Okay.
but it's from what I heard, it's a mess, and it's oftentimes more
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 hassle.
of a headache than what it's
Yeah,
worth.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious about that because I always
Mm-hmm.
hear people, from the East Coast be like, "Man, you guys have no idea, the
Yeah.
you guys are soft living over there on the West Coast."
Yeah. Yeah. And just for people that don't know, like in the Northeast, I'm not, I can't vouch for all the Northeast
Mhm.
states, but here in Pennsylvania in the winter, oftentimes when it even just rains, snows, sleets, what have you, um, state trucks go through, they plow the roads, but then they also dump either salt or
Hmm.
brine, and they call it cinders, but essentially it's rocks
Yeah,
on the road for traction
we get
control.
that too.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, I mean they call it the Rust Belt for a reason because this stuff just like literally like eats cars
Oh, it
alive.
does.
It's awful, and then you drive and it gets kicked up on the sides and underneath. So like when I wash the car, even when it's in the winter and it's like brutally cold out, if it's above freezing, I will get out and wash my
Right on.
car after I've driven in the snow. At least just give it a rinse to get the salt
Yeah,
off
I
of
think
it.
it's a good idea.
So people are all so people are always busting on me like, "Oh man, you always keep your car so clean." I'm like, "Bro, I live in Pennsylvania. Like, I don't want that salt like sitting on my car for more than a day or
Yeah. Oh,
two."
I get it, man.
So yeah, I put it up on the ramps and spray the underneath and in the wheel wells really well, and get it off the sides of the car and everything. Because yeah, I mean they even have this like liquid brine
Hmm.
now that when impending weather is coming, they take the trucks and it's like a fluid, a white fluid. You can see it sit on top of the road, and they just go and they spray it on the road, and then you run through it, and it gets kicked up by other
Yeah.
cars, and
Oh, it's so
it's a
frustrating.
mess.
Yeah.
It is. You just know, like you cringe as you're driving through it. You're like, oh God.
Like I paid how much for this car and it's just getting
Yep,
clapped
yep,
out.
yep. Oh, it's awful. It's awful. Yeah, and we have state inspections in Pennsylvania. So luckily, like we have two newer vehicles. Mine's the
Hmm.
newest, but they will not inspect your car. Like you will fail inspection if you have rust on your vehicle.
Really?
So yeah,
Like,
yeah, no kidding. Like
does it have to reach a certain point or?
that's a good question. I do not know that
Okay.
answer, but I do know friends and family who have had like a rusty fender. They'll have like a spot on the fender or on the bumper or tailgate or something like
Okay.
that. Like trucks are notorious to
Yeah.
rust. People that have trucks and they have like a rust spot on it, and it will fail
Oh, that
inspection for like a rust spot.
oh man,
So
I'm guessing it
yeah,
probably is
it's
kind of an arbitrary thing where whoever the inspector is can kind of
mhm.
determine whether or not they think it's going to be a
Yes,
structural thing, but it still sucks because you
exactly.
never know what you're going to get.
It does. Yeah, they have people around here. They'll do like that spray
Oh
foam.
yeah,
They'll do
just
spray foam
Bondo
and
it.
the rust.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bondo it, spray paint it, and hey, there we go. We're good to go. It's crazy. People get
Yeah.
creative for
Oh man.
sure.
Well, when you're dealing with the government, sometimes you have to. I mean, I've
Exactly.
never
Yep.
committed tax fraud, but I understand why people do.
Exactly. Yep.
Dude, I was just telling
Yep.
somebody recently, I pay more in taxes every month than my mortgage, and I
Mm-hmm.
got in at
Yeah.
7%, bro.
Yep, yep. I
it's
know, dude. It's
it's
awful.
rough.
It feels like everything you get taxed to. Like we were literally just talking about this
Yeah,
today at work. It's like, they require us to have a state inspection to make sure our cars are okay for the
hmm
roads, but you drive
and
down the
they're
roads and the
effed.
roads aren't okay for the
Exactly.
cars.
Isn't that
Yeah.
crazy?
We're like, dude, what are we paying our taxes for? What's this money
You
go
know what's
to?
even crazier is before you even got the money that you paid income tax on, your employer had to pay
Mm-hmm.
payroll tax. And then when you go to buy
Mm-hmm.
stuff, you pay
Mm-hmm.
sales tax. And when you pay
Yep.
sales tax on those items were all paid, all produced
Yeah.
with money that had payroll tax. I'm like, how are we not driving on like gold streets and pissing in gold urinals? It blows my mind. It's
Yes.
like, I think I'd like to
I
keep my
know.
money.
I know, I know. It is. It seriously. It's
Yeah,
wild.
I could rant about that all day, bro. I'm an absolute
That
hater.
was. Yep. That was a whole like hour conversation today at work. I was
Oh,
like, all right,
dude.
I gotta go back to work. I could sit here all day.
Same. That's how I actually met my so I like I said, I work in the medical industry professionally, and the owner of the company, I actually met him on an airplane years ago,
Hmm.
and we were sat next to each other, and we just struck up a conversation, and the conversation naturally veered towards how much we hate taxes. He was like, "Hey, you want a job?" Yeah, I was like, "I guess so." Like, what do you do?
That's
I mean,
amazing.
yeah, dude, I'm his ride or die now, man. Like he's
That's
awesome. He's such
awesome.
a good employer and just a good dude in general. But sorry, that's off topic.
That's awesome.
Um,
No, it's all
I
good.
wanted to ask, what are some of the? I mean, if you don't mind sharing your
Hmm.
location and stuff. Like, what are some of the
Hmm.
areas and trails that you take the Crosstrek on?
Yeah, so I'm in Pennsylvania, pretty much smack dab in the middle of the state,
Okay.
central Pennsylvania. I'm between, some people will know this area, Bucknell University and State College,
Okay.
which is Penn State. About an hour from Penn State campus, and all around me is bald eagle state forest. So in Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania, there's bald eagle, there's Tuscarora, there's a couple other spots, but born and raised in this area, so bald eagle's really all I know.
Okay.
And that's what I'm familiar with. So, like I said, 90% of the time I'm by myself or with the family. So with that, like I kind of stick to the places that I know, and pretty fortunate. Bald Eagles, it's huge. So there's thousands of miles of
Yeah. Yeah.
trails. There's different little, we call them, they're called lakes out here. They're probably not as big as other lakes in the
You
country,
got to
but
call them something.
really,
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta call them something. So these cool little lakes. There's two within an hour. Actually, there's probably three decent ones within the hour, or
An hour within you.
and you can,
Yeah.
yeah, an hour within me. You can, I mean, they're large enough that you can like boat on, jet ski
Oh,
on.
cool.
There's like beaches that they
Oh,
have.
are they man-made or
Yeah,
just
some of them
okay?
are. Some of them are. Yeah. Some of them have like campsites around
Okay.
them, hiking trails, biking trails, all
You
kinds
allowed
of
to
stuff.
fish in
So
there?
it's a, yeah,
Cool.
yeah. You can
Okay.
fish in them. Yep.
You like doing that?
Um, yeah, yeah. So my son just got into fishing. He loves fishing right now.
Cool.
So we're just trying to get him into different things like that, like,
That's
water sports, swimming,
that's
fishing.
sick.
Uh, yeah, he talks about camping all the time. I haven't
Yes.
gotten him out to camp yet,
Okay.
so we're working on that. We got all the equipment for it. I'm like, buddy, you just tell me
Yeah.
when.
Yeah.
We'll be there. So we're really, really fortunate where we live, to have bald eagle literally like 5 minutes away, that
That's
we can,
awesome.
we'll be on a dirt road into the woods, within 5 minutes. And like I said, we have, Penns Creek, which is, kind of world renowned for fly
Okay.
fishing. People come all over the country, all over the world to Penns Creek to fly fish. So we have some really, really cool natural resources, within an hour. But we're also close to like everything else. So if you want to do a road trip, we're like 3 hours from Baltimore, 3 hours from Philadelphia, 3 hours from New York. We can get to like the Finger Lakes in New York within probably 4 hours. So we do tend to stick kind of close,
Okay.
because of the kids.
That makes
We have
sense.
a 5 year old and a 3 year old.
Okay.
So more than an hour or two, with
So
the
you're a new
kids.
dad, man.
Parent,
You're relatively.
I'm relatively new dad.
Dude,
Yeah,
COVID baby? And then
yeah.
another COVID.
COVID.
Dude,
Yep.
congrats, man. That's
Yep.
rad. That's
Yeah, thank
awesome.
you.
I'd love
Thank
to have
you.
kids at
Thank
some
you.
point. Just got to trick somebody into it.
Yeah. It's fun. I mean, I won't lie. I mean, there is definitely some
Yeah.
challenges, but man, the age right now, like 5 or 6, where they're getting into like hobbies and
Yeah.
sports and like interests, and like my son, like you said, he is like my ride or
Oh,
die. We go to car
love
shows
it.
together. We go to
I love
cars
that.
and coffee. Like he's drawing pictures of cars and stuff. Like it's
That's
awesome.
so
It is
sick.
absolutely
Oh,
awesome.
he's got a cool dad,
Yes.
man. So it sounds like you're
Yeah,
doing a good
right,
job, man.
right.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really cool. So like just getting him out to do those things and visit the state parks and things like that is has been it's been really cool, and it's like what my wife and I like to do. So to have the kids want to do that and have an area to do that in is pretty
Oh, I
special.
love that. And I'm guessing, is it what type of, terrain and do you guys have a lot of
Hmm.
pine out, like pine, evergreen type trees out
Yeah.
there? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit of everything. A lot of pines, a lot of just like
Oh
shrubbery.
yeah.
We don't have like real tall trees like you guys probably have out west, like the redwoods and stuff.
Yeah.
These are more like pines, mountain
Cool.
laurel, things like that. It gets really pretty in the fall. We have the peak leaf
Mhm.
season where everything's orange and gold, and reds and stuff like that. It's just rolling, a lot of rolling hills. You know,
Okay.
we call them mountains. It's nothing like the Rockies or anything like that. Like 2,000, 3,000 feet in
Okay.
elevation, um, high enough to get like really nice views. But it's Pennsylvania, at least where I'm at, is just a lot of hills and
Okay.
valleys. So you could be driving somewhere and it's a lot of like rolling farmland, and then boom, you're going up over a
That's
mountain,
cool.
and then you're in another like valley, and you have some like streams and little lakes and ponds, and we have a big river that kind of cuts the state in half.
Okay.
Um, it's that's kind of the cool thing about it, is like the land is so
Diverse kind of. Yeah.
diverse,
Yeah.
where you could be like in, you know, like in the river valley, and then within 15-20 minutes you're at the top of a
Yeah.
mountain. It's and that I think that's the cool part, but it also makes it like really, really challenging, because everybody's like, oh well, come to Cars and Coffee in Philadelphia, and it's like, okay, well, you look at a map and I'm close, but to get over all these
Yeah.
mountains and around all these rivers and creeks and stuff, like it's 4 hours away from me.
Yeah. As the crow
You know,
flies
so like
is not real life.
exactly. And you look at some maps of like other states, like we visited Michigan, and like Michigan, all their roads are in like a nice grid
Okay.
structure. In Pennsylvania, you look at like maps and
Yeah.
like they literally like follow the mountain ridges and
Looks
stuff.
like my
It's kind of
handwriting.
crazy how, yeah, it's kind of crazy. So you know, to go to 15 or 20 miles takes you, you know, 45
Yeah.
minutes
Yeah, I
sometimes.
get that.
So um but it's really cool. The terrain here just varies within literally like a couple
Okay.
miles, and it makes it fun, but it also makes it
Yeah.
challenging.
Is there a good mix of, I mean, because, the type of stuff you can take a Subaru on versus,
Hmm.
a TJ on 37s is completely different.
Hmm.
Is there a good mix of stuff you could get into regardless of what type of car you've got?
Yeah, for the most part, a lot of people ask me that. I I would say the majority is just like leisurely, you know, mountain roads. A lot of like logging roads,
Okay.
or roads to campsites, picnic sites, scenic overlooks, vistas, things like that. Now, if you wanted to venture off on one of the trails that goes a little bit deeper into the woods, you certainly can. But they are high
Okay.
clearance, you know, 4x4
Gotcha.
trails, and like ATV, snowmobiles, dirt bikes are gaining a lot of popularity really, really quickly in Pennsylvania. So a lot of the trails that I grew up running in my
They're all
Jeep and
beat to
stuff,
piss
like back
now.
in high school, they
Yeah.
are beat,
Huh.
and they've turned them into like ATV side by side
Ah, that
trails.
sucks.
Yeah, and a lot of times now, one thing that I found, and we had a friend down 2 years ago from New York. They actually grew up in this area, and we tried to do a couple like trail rides and stuff. And he made the comment that like everything's gated now.
Oh, same out here,
So, you
man.
know,
I'm running into that all the
so
time.
like everything, so everything that he knew, like, oh, let's go to this trail,
Boom.
gated.
Yep.
Oh, well, I know of another one over here,
Yeah.
gated. And they're doing it now because of like public
Yeah.
land. So it's hunting. So different hunting seasons, whether it be deer, bear,
Yeah.
turkey, whatever, if something's in season, you can't access those roads.
Yeah. Because you got to have a key, right?
Um,
Basically, with your
yeah,
tag.
yeah, yeah. So it makes it tough. I mean, there is availability to do those things, but it
Mm-hmm.
varies, and I'm finding more and more of these public accessible lands are they're not getting taken away by any means, but
They're
you
shrinking.
know, like side by sides, yeah, they're
Yeah.
shrinking, at least for like us that are in a motor
Yeah.
vehicle, where if you had a side by side, I mean, hell, you could drive to New York
Yeah.
and back from where I'm at.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that in my car
Yeah.
though. So that's kind of the
Okay.
frustrating
I
part.
gotcha. Do you have
Yeah.
any, man, I got to see if I can get a crazy story out of you. Do you got
Yeah.
any,
Yeah.
because I've been in some really, uh, less than wise situations in my Subaru. Do you got anything where
Yeah.
you maybe just a crazy thing that happened out in the Subaru, or like maybe some situation that you got into?
Not in the Subaru, but I will tell you. So on Saturday, like I said, there was four of us. We met up. It was myself, X-Trek Matt.
Okay.
He's on
Oh, I think
Instagram
I
if you look
follow
him
him.
up.
I think I follow him. Yeah.
Yeah, orange
I
Subaru
think
Crosstrek.
so. I think I follow him.
Um,
I follow a lot.
yeah, yeah, right. Geyser Blue Roo, and Trek Through It.
Okay.
So anyway, long story short, they all came in on Saturday, and we did some trails just here in Pennsylvania. Again, Bald
Mm-hmm.
Eagle, and our plan was to hit some vistas and some other things. And I had pinpointed an area on the map I've never been to, but it looked like this big open shale pit.
Oh, I
And I
love
was like, this
those.
would be a cool spot. Yeah, it'd be a cool spot to just go and kind of be like a playground. We can run up and down the hills. We can, set up the cars for some
Mm-hmm.
pictures and stuff. Maybe eat lunch there. Just could be a little spot
Yeah.
for the day. So anyway, we take this one trail. We get to a crossroads where we could either go left or right, and the right trail was a high clearance 4x4 trail. Had some water crossings, really rocky, really rough, tight.
Mm-hmm.
So you got pinstripes and
Oh, yeah, I
everything,
love
and
them.
um, yeah. So we ended up that was the trail we ended up taking, and it took us probably, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half to go through the trail. Some real deep water, real deep ruts. It was awesome. So we get to the end of the trail, we take a break or whatever, and we were close to the shale pit. And I'm like, guys, it's right up here. It's like a mile down the road. Let's run up and do the shale pit. So we run it. We do the shale pit. So we're all like, adrenaline's pumping. We just got off this crazy trail, right? So we all get loaded back up. We go to the shale pit, and it was like 10 out of 10. It was
Sick.
awesome. Like there was this little, like you could climb up this one little bump, and to the right was this almost like a cliff. Like you were
Oh,
probably
yeah.
like 2 stories in the
Yeah.
air, and then you could make this real long run up the bank of the shale pit, and you were soaring if you were up there,
Okay.
right? So like we get all of our cars up there. We're snapping pics for the gram and all that stuff, and Matt jumps in his car and just takes off, and he's running up this hill, and we're like, and he's in a
Oh,
manual, and we're
no.
like, bro, if he stalls or whatever, like
He's,
this is gonna be sketchy.
oh,
So he's up there, dude, he's sending it, and he gets up there, he stalls a couple times, backs down, makes another run at it. Anyway, so he gets up towards the top. We're taking pictures and video and stuff, and the other guy's like, all right, I'm in, I'll do it. So he's making a run at the hill and stuff, and he goes up, he's like turning around, and he's starting to three wheel
oh,
it, right?
no.
So he's like one
Oh,
tire's off the
yeah.
back, and he comes to a stop, and we're all standing there, and we're like, shit, is he stuck? We're gonna have to go up and
Yeah.
get him. And we hear this crunching behind
Oh,
us,
no.
and so we turn around, and there's like the park ranger, and we're like, oh, hey there. And he hops out, and he's like, hey, is your friend stuck? We're like, well, we don't think so. That's what we were just talking about. We were just going to walk up and see. And he's like, all right, well, I need all your guys' IDs. We're like, oh, no. So I forget who said something. They were like, are we not allowed to be here? Like, what did we do wrong? Because mind you, like when we pulled in, there's no
Yeah.
signs. It doesn't say like no trespassing, no loitering,
Yeah.
no
No,
private
nothing.
land. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
open. It's just this spot like off the trail. So we're just like, okay, like what the hell did we do wrong? So he tells us like the land is private, it's no trespassing. You're not supposed to be there, but it's not posted because every time they post it,
Rip it
people steal
down.
the
Yeah.
signs.
Public
So we're
service.
like, yeah, right. So he's like, yeah, we just, we like to keep an eye on it or whatever. And we saw you guys, so we had to come say something. So long story short, he takes all of our IDs, gives us a citation, just a
Yeah.
warning. But the cool part was, he's like, listen, like, if it was me and I came across this, I'd be doing the same exact thing. So if you guys want, finish up what you're doing, but then get out of here.
Dude, that's
So yeah, we all like went back up. We got her like in her cars, got them all positioned, everything. Got a bunch of pictures, videos, like all that stuff. But then, yeah, then we bolted. But super super
I
nice
love
guy.
that.
Um, yeah, he showed us a couple of the guys had a campsite, so he's like, yeah, "I'll take you to the campsite." So he took us to the campsite, showed us where that
Okay.
was. Uh, drove us up to like one of the vistas that were along the way, and super super nice guy. But Yeah, he came rolling in like dust flinging up behind him with the lights on and everything, and hops out. I need to see
Yeah.
IDs. We're like, oh
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
And he cracked a joke. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go run these IDs. So if any of you guys want to run, now's your opportunity. And we're like, bro, we're in
Yeah.
Crosstrek, so we ain't going
We're trying to
anywhere.
get to 60 miles an hour on the freeway with a lot
Yeah,
of hope and
exactly.
prayers, bro.
Exactly. But I was like, we were joking afterwards when we got to the campsite. We were like, if you would have came like 5 minutes before when like Matt was at the freaking top of the mountain at this shelter, we probably would have been arrested or something because that was it was sketchy. I
Yeah.
mean, we took pictures and video of him doing it, and it doesn't do it justice. I mean, this was a grade that was like I don't think you could physically walk up it because it was so
Yeah.
loose and so steep. But yeah, dude, Matt sent it and David sent it, and I tried to, and I just it spun. And I was like, I don't have the
Oh,
balls
I
big
get
enough
it,
for
man.
this.
Yeah, yeah, especially in your daily driver, it's a little bit like,
Exactly. I mean, those guys had to drive home too. And I was
yeah,
like, I'm the closest one to home, and I'm not even brave enough to do
yeah,
it. But
yeah,
yeah, that was the wildest story with the Crosstrek. Like I said, being a daily and how being a old man dad, I don't do anything real crazy
yeah,
with it anymore. But that was the funnest day, the funnest trail, and probably the at least the funniest story that I've had so far. I mean, everything else has been pretty tame. With the kids and stuff. Like I said, we just do cars and coffee. We do different car shows, car meets. We just like to be in the
yeah.
community. The Subaru community is so cool. Um, we have friends that are tuners to
Okay.
overlanders to people that they just have Subarus because they like
Same
them.
here,
So
man. Yeah,
yeah, just a little bit of everything. It's what makes it fun. I think is like I can rub elbows with somebody that's driving a bagged
yeah,
WRX, and the next minute I'm talking to somebody with a 3-inch lifted
yeah,
ascent.
yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah,
cool.
and it's such a wide range of people.
Yeah.
This weekend I was camping with one dude that works for like iron rigs off road and as an
Hmm.
installer for them. And then sitting next to him is a dude that does contract work for the US government. It's just like such a crazy
Hmm.
range of people and
Hmm.
personalities. I think that's actually kind of fun. Um,
Yeah, it's really
I
cool.
was going to ask if you, and I won't take up too much more of your time. Sorry, dude. I
Yeah,
love
no, that's all
chatting with the
right.
homies.
No, it's all right. I love it
Yeah.
too.
If you were, I don't know exactly how I want to ask the question, but um, I guess a couple of things like if money was no object, and is there
Hmm.
anything that you would have done differently to the car, or that you would like to do to the car?
Oh, that is a good question. I mean, I guess if money was no object, I probably would have went with a more aggressive
Hmm.
lift. Um, yeah, I think that's probably it. I mean, I really love how the Crosstrek turned out, and I did a lot of research, probably more research than what I needed to do with some of the things that I did, but I wanted to make sure I was spending the money wisely and I got what I
Yeah.
I wanted. Um, I just do love the look of like a lifted Crosstrek, and
Yeah.
I mean lifted like more than mine. Like 1 inch, 1 inch isn't significant, but it's enough for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
But some of these guys I see, like in the Northeast, probably has some of the most aggressive looking
Hmm.
Crosstreks where they're lifted 2 inches, 3 inches, and they got the bigger tires on them, and they got the cut up bumpers or the metal framed bumpers and things like that. And I love the way they look. That just reminds me of my Tacoma when I had it with the big
Yeah.
brush guard on it. It reminds me of the Jeep that sat up higher. Like that's just the aesthetic that I
Yeah.
like. It's not really functional, at least not for me. But if money was no object, that's probably the route that I would go. I'd probably just have a cut up dune
Yeah. Yeah.
buggy looking, Crosstrek. Or I'd probably just do something to tune it. I don't know how you could or would or what you would get out of it, tuning a Crosstrek. I mean, I have the 2.0
Hmm.
liter, so I mean, any additional horsepower would be
Yeah.
great. I know some of these guys are like re-gearing,
Yeah.
and things like that. I mean, that would be awesome. Just any kind of additional output would be great. That's the one thing I do miss, um, with the Crosstrek is just the horsepower
Yeah.
is just it's
Oh
non-existent.
yeah. Mine's pretty slow, man. My force, well, both my Subarus are pretty slow.
Yeah,
But
yeah. That's the biggest thing is just like it's a fun car to drive when you're off road, but when you're like dailying it or just driving it anywhere, it's a dog.
yeah. Yeah, I've heard that same thing, but you know, we don't drive Subaru. Well, some people do, but we don't drive Subarus because we're looking to
Hmm.
hit the track. We're trying to fill up with
Exactly.
groceries
Yeah.
at at the
Ye-
at Walmart or
Yep.
something.
Exactly. It's the old
Yeah,
grocery getter,
exactly. And
mall
and
crawling.
I think some people will hate on the idea of you wanting to install modifications just because you like the way
Hmm.
they look. And I've never understood that.
Hmm.
I'm like 180 degrees in the opposite direction. Like if you
Yeah.
walk out to your car and you spent $3,000 on something that you're never going to use, but when you walk out and see the car, you feel better about
Hmm.
it and love it. I don't understand all the
Yeah.
hatred for that whole type of thing.
I don't. I don't. I don't either, and I that's the one thing I've never really got. And I like social media is one of those things where it can be
Oh,
kind of
dude,
toxic,
two-edged
and
sword, man.
people you got you got like keyboard warriors,
Yeah.
but like I look at it like this, like the car is an expression of
Yeah.
you, just like you would buy a hat or a shirt
That's
or a pair of shoes.
exactly.
Like you accessorize yourself, or with
Yeah.
tattoos, like you accessorize yourself. Like why wouldn't you accessorize your
Yeah.
car? It's your car, it's your money. Like if you like it, if you like the way it looks, then do it
Yeah.
up.
Oh, and it's funny you say that because that's literally the analogy I use all the time. I'm like, you buy the
Hmm.
sneakers you like because you like them.
Hmm.
You're not
Yeah.
actually going to go play basketball in those Jordans. 90% of you
Yeah.
can't even dribble. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
People are just
Yep.
haters, man.
Yep.
They just look for any excuse to
Yeah.
like make somebody else feel bad. But it's like,
Yep.
hey, last I checked, I didn't see a single dollar in my bank account from you. So don't really care what you
Exactly.
think.
Yep. I'm not doing it for
Yeah.
you. It's not your
Yeah,
car.
I'm the one that's got to come out and get into it every day, man.
Yep.
uh,
Yep.
I don't think I have any other major questions I wanted to ask you. I did want to ask uh, a, again. I don't. You're welcome to share as much or as little as you want, but
Yeah.
what is your kind of like your professional life look like? You told me that you work for a dealership, and are you a graphic artist? Is that what you do, or
I I pretend to be one. No, so so I work in
yeah?
marketing. I've bounced around a little bit over the last like I don't know 10, 12 years,
Okay.
I think. So I went to school for marketing, graduated with that, and right out of school was fortunate enough to get a job in marketing and worked at a couple different places, gained a bunch of experience,
Hmm.
and I work at a car dealership now. It's not a Subaru dealership,
That's okay.
so that's kind of awkward. But yeah, so I do marketing for two local
Cool.
dealerships here in Pennsylvania, and I'm a department of one.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I do graphics, I do video work, I do photography. I mean, pretty much anything that goes into marketing slash
Yeah.
advertising slash a little bit of sales. I do. So um, just been basically self-taught.
Yeah.
So I never picked up a camera, never, never touched Photoshop or Illustrator
Hmm.
or anything like that. And kind of developed skills along the way out of, pure survival and just being in the industry for 10 plus years. So I do things on the side. So that's what I do, like, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But I do some things on the side with people in the
Hmm.
community. I've done some stuff. I mentioned Patrick earlier from Orbis
Yeah.
Overlanding. I've done some stuff for him. Um, Oddly enough, like Jeep people have ducks. Subaru people seem to have stickers of their
Yeah.
cars.
Yeah.
So I've designed a lot of stickers for either companies or different people on Instagram. Like, they have pictures of the car with their, Instagram handle underneath it or whatever. So I've done that a lot. And which is really fun because like
Yeah.
I get to use like what I do during the day,
Yeah.
but like for this like passion project that I have, which is
Totally.
cars. And so it's been fun. It gets a little tiring sometimes because like I feel like the my Subaru account, like my
Yeah.
Instagram accounts, like almost like my job, you know, like, oh boy, I haven't posted in 2 days.
Yeah.
I'm slacking.
Yeah.
I got to get something out there. But like this weekend, it was just fun to like have those skills to get some cool pictures and some cool video, and that's a weekend full of memories that I wouldn't have had if it wasn't for the Subaru community and actually having this car.
Yeah.
So that's been really cool. And just being able to I don't know, be involved in the community and bring some of this like Subaru love and car culture into the two stores that I manage has been
Yeah.
really cool. Like we just started up doing a cars and coffee for the
Okay.
one store I work out of. Um, so that's been really cool. So just having, I don't know, all this knowledge and different skill sets and stuff has been really cool for both personally and professionally because it's kind of tied everything together and given me an opportunity in both aspects of my
Yeah.
life.
What's your favorite aspect of marketing? I mean, when
Yeah.
everybody thinks marketing is just like one specific thing, but you got
Hmm.
SEO, you got advertising, you got
Yeah.
copywriting, you got even
Yeah.
market research. What was your
Yeah.
favorite part? Like out of, I know you said you did a bunch of stuff right out of college. What really
Yeah.
drew you in?
I think the creative aspect of
Hmm.
it drew me in, where like there's really no 2 days that are different. Like you said, like marketing varies so much. I mean, anymore today, people think marketing's social media, but
Yeah.
you have market research, you have analysis, you
Yeah.
have. I mean, one day we could be designing billboards, the next day
Hmm.
we're writing commercial
Yep.
scripts. So to me, like that was coming out of college. That was my favorite thing. Was like, oh man, I get to do like all these
Yeah.
different projects and be creative. It's not like, and I don't mean this by like negatively in any means, but like it's not like finance or accounting where I'm sitting at a desk crunching numbers
Yeah.
like all day. Where within a moment's notice, I could be switching
Yeah.
tasks and doing something completely different. And it's opened up so many different doors as far as like learning new
Yeah.
skills. Like marketing's changed so much in the last 10 years where social media really wasn't a thing when I was
Oh yeah.
graduating. And now it's so heavy in social
Yeah.
media and like print's kind of dying and more digital stuff's evolving and like you're never there's no complacency.
Yeah. You have to adapt.
It's it You have to
Yeah.
adapt, you have to kind of change, you have to overcome, so things like that. But sometimes, I mean, depending on the day, what kind of mood I'm in, like I can be like super nerdy, like diving into analytics
Yeah.
and like looking at
Yeah.
SEO and like figuring out why we aren't getting web
Yeah.
traffic or leads. Other days like today, like I spend most of my day like designing
Hmm.
graphics and like I was loving that, just pounding coffee and just
Yeah.
designing. Like, so I don't know, it varies, but that's what I love
Yeah.
about it is like, you have to wear so many different
Were
hats.
you, and you're right, man. So that's what I do in the
Hmm.
the medical field that I'm in. Were
Yeah.
you in the industry when and it probably didn't hit you guys at all, but were you in the industry
Hmm.
when the 2023 HCU Google update hit?
So that's probably when I came on board.
Okay.
So I've been in the auto industry for it hasn't even been 2 years. In
Okay.
September it'll be 2 years. I do vaguely remember hearing that, and I don't know if I heard about it because I was coming on board and it was a thing, or if I heard it through like the news and stuff. But my time with the company I'm with now has been pretty honestly, it's been pretty smooth
Cool.
sailing. The last couple months have been a little sketchy because of like tariffs
Yeah.
and stuff. It's honestly, it's been a roller coaster. It's been
Yeah.
like we were sailing, like we were doing like record months, like month after month after month, and then the last month it just like nosedived, and it wasn't just
You
us;
know,
it was
it's
everywhere.
crazy, man. I'm hearing that across the board. It's
Hmm.
wild.
Yeah. So we have two. not to, we're getting off
I
track
don't
again,
care.
but
No,
like
this
not,
is fun. This is just like a real life conversation, man.
yeah, yeah. So it's like we think that we either took people like out of the market because there was all this like warning of
Hmm.
tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. So people like jumped into the market when they weren't maybe ready. Maybe they were going to buy a car in 8 months, but they decided to do it now because of the threat of
Gotcha. That makes
tariffs.
sense.
Or they were shopping, shopping, shopping. They think prices went up and tariffs hit and all this stuff when in fact they
Yeah.
didn't. At least not at our dealerships. We've kept prices the
Hmm.
same, and they're just scared to buy. So we think that that might be the two likely causes. But yeah, the last like month or two has just been oddly slow.
Yeah.
It's crazy how you can be like record setting, record setting, record setting, and then like worst month in
Yeah.
like 5
Isn't it
years.
crazy? I mean,
Yeah.
I can't say any names, but I do some freelance work for some different
Mm-hmm.
companies in in our industry, and
Mm-hmm.
same thing, man. It's like just boom, everything went off a cliff. I think market uncertainty will
Yeah.
just pretty much,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, even if prices are literally the same, yeah, they might have increased a little bit here and there when the tariffs were impending, but overall, it's just if people are worried 3 months out, like what's my job going to look like? They go into
Yeah.
conservation mode, and it's just a little,
Yep.
a little
Yep.
spooky. But dude, marketing's
Yeah.
fun. I love it. It's
It is. Yeah. And I had jobs in the past where, we had teams. So we had like a graphic artist on, or we had a digital expert
hmm
on and stuff like that. And it was still fun, but it
it's not as
took a little bit
much.
of the fun out of
Yes,
it.
exactly, because you didn't get to do
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
much of the different. Uh, I,
Mm-hmm. You're like, man, it'd be really cool to work on that project, but that's somebody else's job.
who was it back in the day? I mean, it's been forever since I was in university, but somebody, I don't remember what company that had an assembly line, but maybe it was GM. They trained all of their
Hmm.
employees on every station and would make them rotate for
Yeah.
that exact reason. And
Yeah.
I don't remember the statistics or whatever, but they said that they experienced like improved workplace satisfaction and all these different metrics, and that's like
Hmm.
rings true with exactly what you're
Yeah.
saying. It sucks to be monotonous in
Yeah.
life.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not built for that,
Yeah.
and I'm fortunate enough that like, so I manage two stores, so even like day to day, I could
Hmm.
be bouncing between two stores, and so it's not even just working with one brand; it's working with different brands, different brand guidelines, different messaging. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's challenging,
Hmm.
but it's also kind of um, what keeps it exciting and interesting because it's not monotonous.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing every
I th-
day.
I think I think a lot of us are built with an innate. I mean, we have to be built with like an innate
Hmm.
like desire to problem solve and overcome things and learn.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have never learned how to fish. We would have never learned how to kill
Yeah,
bears and
exactly.
eat woolly mammoths and
Yeah.
stuff. We
Yeah,
still got that in us. It
exactly.
just happens at a desk
Yep.
instead of out in a
Yep.
loincloth or something.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yep.
dude, sorry I'm
Yeah, I
talking your
love it.
ear off, but is there anything
No, it's all good
yeah,
stuff.
dude, it feels like I'm talking to an old homie here, so I love it. Is there anything that I missed or anything that you would want to talk about that you think would be helpful for people?
Man, I don't think so. I guess the only thing that I would say is like just put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Like I would, if I were to rewind 3 years or 4 years before having the Subaru, I would never consider myself like a car
Uh-huh.
person. Like I was always into cars. Like I said, I enjoyed, doing stuff with the Jeep, enjoyed doing stuff with the Taco, and, liked racing, liked cars, just generally. But you know, through this car, I found a community of very like-minded
Yeah.
individuals that I would consider
Yeah.
friends. Like I would never meet up strangers from Instagram and spend a day with them in the
Yeah.
woods. Um, but we all have similar interests, whether it be the car or enjoying nature or whatever it may be. I mean, it could be our professions like we just talked
Yeah.
about, and you wouldn't have those type of connections if you don't put yourself out there. So, connect with different people. I mean, when I first got my car and I created this account, I created it just to see what other people were doing with their cars because I was interested in modifying my car and I was just looking for inspiration. Like, hey, what are people with similar cars to me doing to make theirs look
Yeah.
cool or
Yeah.
whatever? And I was super intimidated to reach out to people like Milton, Silver Bullet XV. I mean, the dude is like the
Yeah.
goat of like
Yeah.
Crosstreks. He is just
He's
he's rallying them, he's jumping them. I mean, the guy is
yeah.
insane. And when you jump on a platform like this and you see somebody that has 5,000 followers or 10,000 followers or whatever, they almost seem like celebrities. As weird as that
Yeah.
is, like, well, he's never going to respond to me or talk to me. And all these people are they're real, they're genuine, they're here to help. And put yourself out there, like just do it and see where it takes you, because I wouldn't have the friends I have today. I wouldn't be going on mountain rides with the people I did over the weekend. My car wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for these people. So
Yeah.
if you have an interest, if you have a passion for something, connect with the people in the industry, in the fields, and on these networks, because there's a wealth of information out there, and people are super genuine. They'll invite you out. They'll lend you a helping hand. They'll give you recommendations. All that stuff. That's the one big thing for me is not that I guess I'm a little bit of an introvert, but just taking a step out of my comfort zone
Yeah. Yeah.
just allowed me to meet people and make connections that I wouldn't have otherwise. And honestly, I probably wouldn't have the job that I have today if it
Hmm.
wasn't for making some of those connections and networking with people, and doing some of the things that I did that maybe wasn't that I thought would be uncomfortable, and it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things is when we go out, there's like a local Subaru club that was near me when I was living out on the
Hmm.
west side of the state. And one of my favorite things was when that one new timid person showed up and I was like, yes, I
Hmm.
know they debated getting in their car and coming here today. Like I can't wait for them to absolutely just figure out how sick this is gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great
Yep.
advice, man, because you're right, a lot of people, I see it every time we go out and do a trail run or whatever, or even on some of the pages for some of the different groups out here. I see people all the time, they're like, "Well, my stuff's not really very modified." It's like, "We don't care, just come out with us, like,
Hmm.
let's go get it,"
Yeah.
You
Yep.
you got
Yep.
you gotta
Yep.
break your car so you have an excuse to upgrade it. Just
Yep.
kidding,
Yeah.
but that's the
Yeah.
natural progression. Well, dang it, man. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for doing this. This is rad. I'm glad we made it happen. Um,
Yeah. Me
can
too.
you give yourself a shout out real quick and tell people where they can follow along with what you're doing, whether it's on Instagram and YouTube or wherever you're doing it, or whatever you got going on?
Yeah, yeah. So Instagram, it's pyp.dad.wagon. Um, I'm on Facebook too. You'll probably see me pop up every once in a while if you're on like a Crosstrek page or a Subaru page,
Hmm.
and a couple of those pages might be an admin or just a fan. I
Hmm.
post occasionally on there, whether it be a cool picture of the car, a cool video. New mods. I'll jump in if I see, like you said, see a newbie on there
Hmm.
asking questions about tires or lifts or lights,
Yeah.
things like that. I do have some promo
I
codes,
was going to
so if
ask
people are
about
like,
that as well, actually.
yeah,
So.
yeah. So I don't call them sponsors. Some people call them sponsors, but I do have some affiliations and some partnerships
Hmm.
with some different companies for promo codes. So, if I see somebody asking for lights or tires or rally bars or whatever it may be, I like to jump in and much like many people helped me, I try to get back and help the
Yeah.
community too. So you might see my name pop up on Facebook, but you'll definitely find me on
On
Instagram,
the gram, good. Do you wanna
on the
yeah,
gram.
dude, give everybody a shameless plug for your, discount codes or any affiliate stuff you got.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm probably gonna miss a lot, but Diode Dynamics is probably my biggest one. You can get free shipping with them. Code is Dad Wagon. So wagon is spelled WAGN. No,
Perfect. Okay.
no O. I also, if you go to my Instagram, I have a link in my profile. It has a link tree there. You'll find
Oh,
all my
I did
goodies on
see that.
there.
Okay.
So
So I won't make you go
yes,
through the
yep.
mental files now.
Yeah, yeah, but I'll mention some of the
Yeah,
big
hit
ones
them.
because I'm a big fan of Diode Dynamics. I have my ditch lights and my fog lights from them. Actually, two sets of fog lights from them. So Diode, good stuff. Rally Innovations. I have a light bar, Rally light bar on the front of my
Mm-hmm.
Crosstrek. That's from Rally Innovations. They're always giving me shout outs too on Instagram and Facebook. $30 off,
Oh,
similar promo
right
code. It's
on.
Dadwagon.
Right on.
Yeah, so good, real good people, real good
Yeah.
people. My buddy Patrick, Orbis Overlanding, he's a dealer for many, many companies. So all good stuff there. He's giving me I think it's a 5% discount
Okay.
code. You can check that out on the link tree as well. I'm pretty sure that's Dadwagon too. Um, let's see. If you're into detailing, check out Cornerstone Auto
Okay.
Care. He's local to me. Went to college with him. Real good guy. He basically hand delivers all my products
That's
to me,
so
and we started
sick.
doing some.
That's
Yeah,
sick.
yeah, dude. He was doing ceramic coating before ceramic coating was a
That's
thing. So that's how I know That's how he's legit.
Is he
So I
formulating?
remember like
Oh,
right.
sorry, go ahead.
So no, no. So he is formulating. He works with like I guess you want to call it a
Okay.
manufacturer. But he gets samples in, he uses it, tells them what to tweak, comes up with everything, the scents,
That's
the
cool.
formulations, all that stuff. Yeah. So yeah, he's local to me. He lives in Shamokin, PA, which is about I don't know, 40 minutes from my house. We went
Okay.
to school together. That's how I knew him. We had a couple classes together, and long story short, my buddy bought some car care products from him, and they got to talking, and was like, "Hey, I went to school with your buddy Shane," and I was like, "Wait, I don't know anybody that owns their own car care
That's
business."
so
So
sick.
we actually, yeah, we actually linked up. I bought some stuff from him. It's really good stuff,
Okay.
and like I said, I'm kind of a neat freak when it comes to my car. I'm always keeping it. I like a clean car, but
Yeah.
like um, so I've been throwing some business his way, both personally and
Okay.
professionally too. So working at a dealership, I'm able to throw some stuff his way,
Love
and
it.
um, yeah, real good stuff. So be sure to check him out. I have a 10% code
Okay.
off of Cornerstone Auto Care .net.
Awesome. I'm
Um, promo code's Dadwagon
okay.
as well.
Uh, is there an O in that one or no O?
No O in
Okay.
that one as
Perfect.
well.
I'm
Yep,
actually gonna check
yep,
out their stuff because I love
yeah.
good small businesses that are making good
Yeah,
products.
yeah, no, he's a real good dude. He's like basically bottling in his like living room, puts the
That's
labels on
crazy.
by hand, ships it by hand. Like real good dude. He's hustling. At our dealership, we had a Cars and Coffee a couple weeks ago. I actually brought him in to be one of our vendors. Had a
Okay.
really solid day. Got to introduce him to a bunch of people locally in the car care community. So I'm trying to help him out. Like
Yeah.
I said, doesn't hurt that his stuff's great.
Yeah.
So a bunch of my friends are using it, and I'm just trying to help him spread the word because
Okay.
it's his dream, his livelihood, and he's passionate about it. Like I said, man, he was doing ceramic coating and detailing like out of college, and
Okay.
at the time, everybody thought like ceramic coating was kind of a gimmick, I guess.
Yeah.
And I mean, now look at it, everybody has their vehicle ceramic
They've
coated.
even
So,
got their wraps
um,
ceramic coat. Dude,
mm-hmm,
I'm looking for him right now.
yep,
I'm gonna
yep.
add him.
Yeah,
I found him.
cornerstoneautocare.net.
And there's your ride right on the
Yep,
top. I F with it,
yep,
bro.
yep, yep,
Okay,
yep,
sick.
yep. He's my homie. Reconnected after how many years? So,
Love that.
um, so yeah. So those are the companies that I've been working with a lot
Cool.
lately, and they're showing me
Yeah.
love. I use their
They're all
products.
good brands, man.
So
That's stuff I would buy with my
all
own
great,
money.
all great brands. They've helped me, whether it be question and
Hmm.
answers or giving me discounts for like social content. I've filmed videos or taken pictures. It helps with my background that I'm able to supply some of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
great companies, great people to work with, and I appreciate their support, and being able to pass those discounts or savings on to people in the community is pretty
I
awesome.
love that. I need to look into doing some of that with
Yeah,
some of
man.
the people I work with, but appreciate the heck out of you, dude. This was super
Yeah,
sick.
no problem.
Um,
No, I love it. I love it. My wife doesn't care about this stuff, so like anytime I can chat about it with somebody, it's like
yeah. Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah. Most people don't.
She's just like, whatever, like you do you, whatever you want to do. It's your money. And
Go
it's
hang
just like,
out.
well, you don't care about the lift? What do you mean?
Go hang out with your spoolie boyfriends.
Yeah.